Hi, my name is Vivian Gemian, licensed professional counselor. Today I thought I'd talk about hope versus hopelessness. Which do you identify? We can look at hope and hopelessness as on a continuum. Okay, one day we're hopeful, the next day we have some hopelessness that creeps in. When we think of hopelessness, we are, in a way, denying that there's any way to move forward. Um, but can we really deny that moving forward is something valid? Think about winter, okay? Here we are in winter, snow's falling, it's freezing, we don't want to go out. Oh my gosh, is spring ever going to come? Is the warm weather ever going to come? We know that it is. It will come. So in a very similar regard, we have to have this hope that this pandemic will come to an end. Life will get back to a normalcy. Maybe not quickly as the normalcy that we knew, but we will get back to a normalcy. Now, what are you identifying with? Is your identity different during this COVID-19? Are you feeling more hopeless, or is your hope, still very secure? And where do you typically find hope? Where do you find your solace? Where do you find your comfort? And how can we sustain these? With hopelessness, a feeling of loss of purpose may take over your thinking, okay? Have you recognized a trigger to these thoughts and feelings that you might be having? Is it just the pandemic, or is there something else in your life that brings about a hopeless feeling, takes you to a hopeless place? And how can we manifest healthy reactions in the midst of tough times? As I think it's safe to say, we all do experience tough times from time to time. One thing to remember is to look at the losses or feelings of hopelessness straight in the face. Don't deny them. Feel them. Be aware of them. And don't sugarcoat them. The next question is, what are we going to do with those feelings? How are we going to work through them? How are we going to get to the other side? The other part of the continuum of being hopeful. All right, let's just talk a little bit about what hope actually means. Webster, and I'm going to read it. Webster defines hope as to expect with confidence, to desire with expectation of fulfillment, to cherish a desire with anticipation, to want something to happen or be true. Hope can also be looked at as one's expectation that they have some control over their life and their future. Okay, sometimes we feel out of control, right? It's quite a normal feeling. Hope is seen as one of the strongest feelings we can experience. How do we grab onto a hope when things around may look hopeless or out of control? Many times a feeling of hopelessness can come not only from specific situations we are experiencing, like this pandemic, but also from maybe negative thinking or feelings of depression. So how do we work on changing that negative thinking base? Where can we find hope in difficult days? Not only, like I said, in the days of this pandemic, but in the days when we're just feeling down, feeling hopeless, feeling out of control. Okay, ask yourself a few questions, okay, to bring about a deeper awareness, because the first step is to be aware, okay? The first step to any kind of change is to be aware. All right, so number one, what is the evidence for my thought being true or not being true? What would I tell a friend who has the same thought that I'm having? How would I attempt to help them? Is there an alternative for my thought? Can I be thinking a different way? And number 4, how might I look at the situation if I wasn't feeling overly anxious or depressed over the situation? Is my anxiety or depression driving this hopeless mindset that I find myself in? Now, previously, we've spoken of mindfulness. So important to try to stay in the moment. We know this because the past and the future is where we grab onto anxiety and anxious feelings. Sure, we do need a plan for our future. Of course, we need to set goals, but when we catastrophize our future, like what is happening so much with this pandemic, we're going to the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Oh my gosh. And we're just driving ourselves to a very anxious place, a hopeless place. This pandemic's not going to go on forever, as I said. A thought that can bring us hope when the days seem long and lonely. Keeping in our mind, this isn't going to be going on forever. It's temporary. Temporary. Good word to remember, temporary. Even without hope, we typically have no energy or motivation. So how are we going to get moving if we don't have energy or motivation? We need to move. We need to recognize. We need to be aware. We need to push. Okay. We might call our feelings of being in a major funk. Okay, I'm in a funk. I can't get out of it. But yes, we can work to get out of it. Okay. Changing something within, yes, it can be difficult. It can be very difficult, especially in difficult times like this pandemic. However, we want to know that we do have a little bit of control over ourselves. We can bring about change within ourselves by first being aware that perhaps I do need to change. I do need to change my perspective or my perception, and then push ourselves to do so. Not easy. No, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's doable if we put our time and effort into doing so. It's not a time to blame ourselves, blame our others, blame the circumstance, but it's a time to look introspectively for the change that we desire to come from within. That's where the change can come from, within. Nobody can point their finger and say, okay, you change. Change. It doesn't work that way. We have to believe we need to change. We have to set a program, a plan for ourselves and work it. Problem solve our own difficulties to try to get to that change. Yes, many times people need counseling to help them through that, to navigate that. And I encourage you, if you are feeling overly anxious, overly depressed, that you seek out professional help. Very important. Seek out professional help if you do need it. Because being stuck and not being able to get out of it can be very debilitating in many ways. So yes, seek professional help if that is what's needed. Like I said, we do have this time. We have a lot of time on our hands to look introspectively. I've had many people come to me and say, oh my gosh, it's been such an eye-opener to me. I've learned so much about myself. And that's a plus to this time that we do have so much time on our hands. Learn about ourselves, see what maybe we need to change and how we can get to that point where we would like to be. And then make a commitment to do so. Sure, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be good days. There's going to be some not so good days. But it's doable. It is doable if we stick to the course, okay? Just as we have been discussing coping skills to incorporate in our lives, we can also incorporate ways to bring about a feeling of hope and change within ourselves. So I'm going to suggest a few, okay? Number one, write down a plan of where you would like to be. Either where you would like to be in your thinking or where you would like to be in your circumstances. It could be, it could even be something as simple. Well, I want to clean up the yard, get some plants planted. It could be something simple like that, but it could be something more intricate as far as our thinking. I want to change my thinking. I don't want to be so negative. I don't want to be so hopeless. I want to find hope. Okay, so write down a plan. Write down a plan. Encourage yourself to do so. And then try to stick to it. I want to go to, I want to go to, I want to go from. Okay, from and to. And journaling can be so effective to do this. We can journal what we're thinking, how we want to change, how we might get there. Because when we journal and then reread, we learn so much about ourselves. Okay, number two, look for people in your life who have overcome difficult circumstances. We can learn a lot from that. Ask them how they've overcome their adversity. Hearing how others got through things can bring a hope to us that, hey, they did it. I think I can do it. Ask them how they sustained their new position in life. What did they do? So you can get so much from surrounding yourself with supportive people and people who can give you ideas what worked for them. Number three, something quite simple as doing an act of kindness can change our moods tremendously. Why? It triggers the release of serotonin and makes us feel good. Remember to stop judging yourself. Instead, see the kindness in you. You have a lot of kindness in yourself, I'm sure. Work on not letting personal negativity take over and control you, but look to the positives and strengths that you have. I'm sure you have many positives, many strengths, some of which maybe you have never thought about, but people have seen them in you. Again, it may help you to write these down in a journal. I think journaling is very effective, as I said, because you can go back and reread, and it can be an encouragement to you. Rereading some of your strengths is very encouraging to keep you in a more of a positive mindset rather than going to the negative. All right, fourth, meditation, prayer, and your personal spiritual journey can bring about a hope. There's many sites online that offer meditation and calming music. You might want to check these out. Turning to prayer and your own personal spirituality has a great potential to bring hope, peace, and a calmness within yourself during tough times. So I very much encourage you to seek that out daily. You may want to end your day with that as you're laying in bed and maybe feeling a bit anxious and a bit, your mind is wandering, the what ifs. Maybe take that into consideration. That may bring about a calm for you as you're trying to go off to sleep. And again, number 5, as I mentioned earlier, practice mindfulness. Stay in the moment, the here and the now. The present moment can be seen with joy. It can be seen with contentment if we allow ourselves to see it. Sometimes we're not allowing ourselves to see this. We're not allowing to see the joy around us because we're so focused on what we're thinking is maybe the doom. So allow yourself to see the joy. It's springtime. Look at the flowers, the birds, the mama birds feeding their babies. There's so much joy for us to take in. And just those little things can bring us a hope that life will get back to where it was. Okay? So I hope some of these help you this week, and you can maybe concentrate a bit on these and find a hope. You can change, okay? If you're feeling hopeless, you can find a hope. Be aware, be motivated, be committed, find and hold on to that hope. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I thank Tuxedo Park Library for this opportunity. Again, have a great week. Bye.